Secrets of a Confident Voice, Techniques that Instantly Change How People See You, by Daniel Harper, published by Audiobooks Hub. Introduction. There's a moment, maybe you've experienced it, when you open your mouth to speak and you can feel the room shrinking or expanding around you. A meeting, a date, an interview, even a casual conversation with friends. All it takes is one sentence, one tone, and suddenly you sense how people perceive you. You know you have something valuable to say. But do they hear it? Do they feel it? Do they see you the way you want to be seen? This book is about that moment. It's about the subtle yet powerful connection between your voice and the image you project. We often think of confidence as a mindset, a posture, or an outfit, but your voice is the first real evidence of your inner state. It carries your energy, your belief in yourself, your sense of authority. Long before people judge your words, they judge how those words arrive. When I began my career as a trainer and consultant, I saw this pattern everywhere. Brilliant people undermined by timid delivery. Hardworking professionals who came across as hesitant. Leaders who had ideas but couldn't rally others because their voices wavered or lacked impact. Over the years, I began to notice certain techniques, tiny adjustments, really, that transformed how others responded. When my clients practiced them, the shift was immediate. People leaned in, eyes focused. The same person, the same message, but suddenly more powerful. The good news is that these techniques are not magic. They're skills. They can be learned, practiced, and mastered by anyone, no matter how shy or unsure you feel today. The difference between a voice that blends into the background and a voice that commands respect is not talent, it's intention. It's how you breathe, how you pace, how you use silence, how you color your words. This book contains 10 of the most effective techniques I've discovered. Each chapter gives you a specific, practical method, something you can try immediately. You'll see common mistakes, examples of how the technique works in real life, and simple steps to practice until it becomes natural. The aim is not to turn you into someone you're not. A confident voice doesn't mean loud, aggressive, or artificial. It means authentic presence, your true self, communicated with clarity and strength. By the end of the book, you'll not only understand how to sound confident, you'll feel confident. People will notice the difference, not because you've changed who you are, but because you're finally letting your best self come through. So take a breath. As you read, imagine these pages as a series of conversations between us. I'll show you exactly what to do, and you'll start experimenting with your own voice. Some changes will be subtle, others dramatic, but each one will make you more visible, more persuasive, more memorable. Chapter 1. When most people think about having a confident voice, they picture someone speaking loudly. But volume alone is not confidence. A confident voice begins before the sound ever leaves your mouth. It begins with breath. Breath is the foundation of every sound you produce. If your breathing is shallow, rushed, or erratic, your voice will sound weak or uncertain no matter how good your words are. People may not consciously think, this person's breathing is off, but they'll feel it. Their bodies will register tension, and that tension translates into doubt. Conversely, when you breathe deeply and steadily, your voice naturally carries more weight and calm authority, even if you're saying the simplest sentence. Think of the last time you were nervous. Maybe your heart was racing, your palms were damp, and your breaths came short and high in your chest. That's your body preparing for fight or flight. It's also what happens to your voice. You lose resonance. Your tone goes thin or shaky. You speak faster without realizing it. This is exactly when people misinterpret your nerves as insecurity or incompetence. Now imagine the opposite. Picture a person who seems unhurried, who takes a breath before speaking, whose voice resonates from the chest rather than the throat. They might not be saying anything extraordinary, but you feel drawn to listen. Their calm becomes contagious. That's the first secret. Confident voices are built on controlled, generous breathing. Here's a simple exercise to start retraining your breathing. Stand or sit with your back straight and shoulders relaxed. Place one hand on your stomach and the other on your chest. Inhale slowly through your nose, aiming to make the hand on your stomach rise while the hand on your chest stays mostly still. This is diaphragmatic breathing. Hold for a count of 2, then exhale gently through your mouth, as if you're sighing. Practice this for a minute at a time, several times a day. Once you've got the hang of it, begin using it before you speak. In a meeting, before you present, even in a casual conversation, take a full, steady breath from your diaphragm. It only takes a second, but it signals to your nervous system, I'm in control. This tiny pause gives you time to collect your thoughts and slows your speech naturally, which people read as confidence. Many of my clients resist this at first. They think taking a breath before speaking will look awkward, as if everyone will notice. In reality, no one notices except to think, this person seems composed. Watch any skilled speaker. They always breathe before answering a question or starting a new idea. They never rush their first word. The transformation can be startling. One of my clients, a software engineer named Sarah, had brilliant ideas but often lost the room's attention. Her voice was high, quick, and breathless. She practiced diaphragmatic breathing for just 2 weeks, focusing on taking a deliberate breath before each statement. When she gave her next presentation, the feedback was unanimous. You sound so confident. She hadn't changed her slides or her outfit, only her breath. As you practice, pay attention to how breathing affects your pacing. Confident voices don't hurry. They give the listener time to absorb what's being said. By breathing deeply, you naturally slow down. You'll also notice your tone deepen slightly. This isn't about faking a lower voice. It's about letting your natural resonance emerge instead of cutting it off with shallow air. For the next few days, make breathing your experiment. Before phone calls, meetings, or even speaking up in class, take one full, low breath. Feel your feet on the ground, your shoulders loose, your stomach expand. Then speak. Notice how much steadier you sound and how differently people respond. This is the first step because everything else in this book will build on it. Without a stable breath, any technique you try will sit on shaky ground. With a stable breath, every other skill becomes easier. Take a deep breath now. Feel it. That's the beginning of your confident voice. Chapter 2. If breathing is the foundation of a confident voice, posture is the frame that holds it up. You can have perfect breathing technique, but if your body is collapsed, twisted, or tense, your voice will still come out flat or hesitant. A confident voice lives in a confident body. Most of us spend our days hunched over a keyboard, leaning into a phone, or slouching in a chair. This posture not only looks insecure, it physically compresses your lungs and vocal tract. Your breath can't flow freely, your chest can't expand fully, and your voice loses power and clarity. People may not consciously register that you're slouching, but they'll feel a subtle sense of smallness in your presence. Think of someone you admire, a leader, teacher, or friend who seems at ease when they speak. Notice their stance, their head balanced, shoulders relaxed, spine tall. They don't look stiff, they look open. This posture sends a double message. To your body, it says, I'm safe, I can take up space. To your audience, it says, I'm someone worth listening to. One of the simplest ways to start adjusting your posture is to align 3 points: your ears, your shoulders, and your hips. Whether sitting or standing, imagine a straight line running through them. Your head shouldn't jut forward. Your shoulders shouldn't be hunched. Your pelvis shouldn't be tucked under or exaggeratedly arched. You don't have to stand like a soldier. Think of it more like lengthening than straightening. Here's a quick exercise. Stand up. Roll your shoulders gently back and down. Imagine a string pulling the crown of your head toward the ceiling. Unlock your knees slightly. Let your arms hang loosely at your sides. Breathe deeply and feel how much easier it is to fill your lungs. Now say a sentence out loud, anything at all. Notice the difference in how it sounds and feels. Posture also affects your mental state. Psychologists call this embodied cognition, the way our body influences our mind. When you stand tall and open, your nervous system calms, and you feel more confident. That feeling shows up in your tone, volume, and pacing. Even a subtle shift, straightening your back, uncrossing your arms, can make your voice more resonant. When you're about to speak in a meeting or presentation, take a moment to ground yourself. Plant your feet hip-width apart. If sitting, place both feet flat on the floor. Lift your chest slightly. Relax your jaw and shoulders. Then breathe, using the technique from Chapter 1, and begin speaking. This combination of posture and breath creates a calm, strong presence that others instinctively respect. I remember coaching a young attorney named Marcus. Brilliant, articulate, but in court he always sat hunched, elbows glued to his sides, head down over his notes. He sounded nervous even when he wasn't. We worked on his posture, simply standing fully upright, shoulders loose, head level, hands open. The first time he tried it, his colleagues remarked on how commanding he suddenly seemed. His words hadn't changed. His body had. This isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about removing the physical habits that block your natural confidence. You don't have to become a statue. Movement is fine. In fact, it helps you look alive. But make your movement intentional. Step forward when you emphasize a point. Gesture with open hands instead of fidgeting. Use your body to support your message instead of undermining it. For the next week, treat posture as part of your voice training. Before every call, meeting, or conversation, take 5 seconds to align your body. Ears, shoulders, hips. Let your chest rise. Breathe deeply, then speak. Watch how people's eyes stay on you a little longer, how they lean in a little more. Your voice carries more than sound. It carries your presence. When your posture is strong yet relaxed, your voice automatically projects strength, calm, and confidence. That's the second secret. Chapter 3. Once you've mastered breathing and posture, the next layer of a confident voice is pace, the speed at which you speak. This is one of the quickest ways people judge your confidence. Rush your words and you sound nervous or unsure. Drag them out and you seem hesitant or disengaged. Find a steady, deliberate pace, and you instantly sound calm and credible. Most of us speed up when we're nervous. Our minds race, our breathing shortens, and our mouths try to keep up. We don't even notice until we see confused faces or realize we're out of breath. The irony is that speaking quickly rarely saves time. It forces listeners to work harder, and they retain less of what you're saying. Worse, they interpret your speed as anxiety, even if you're perfectly prepared. A confident pace isn't slow, it's intentional. It's measured enough to let each idea land, but not so drawn out that it feels artificial. Think of the best speakers you've heard. They don't rush, but they don't bore you either. Their words flow like a steady stream, clear, unhurried, purposeful. Here's a simple way to practice. Take a paragraph of text, anything from a book, a speech, or even an email. Read it aloud at your normal speed. Then read it again, but after every full stop, period, take a silent breath. After each comma, pause for half a beat. It may feel painfully slow at first, but listen to how it changes the rhythm. Your voice gains weight. Your ideas have space to breathe. Another trick is to record yourself. Most people are shocked at how fast they actually sound. Play it back and note the moments when your words blur together or lose emphasis. Then practice slowing just those parts. Over time, your natural pace will settle into a more confident rhythm. Deliberate pauses are especially powerful. A well-timed pause before a key phrase draws attention. A short silence after a statement lets it sink in. Pauses also give you control of the room. When you're silent, listeners lean in, waiting. This isn't dead air, it's command. I once coached a project manager named Aisha who always felt overlooked in meetings. She spoke quickly, trying to get her points out before someone interrupted. Her ideas were solid, but people rarely engaged. We practiced slowing her opening sentences and inserting 2-second pauses after key points. At her next presentation, she spoke half as fast as usual. The result? Colleagues took notes, asked questions, and later told her she sounded like a leader. Same content, new pace. Don't confuse a measured pace with monotony. You can still show energy and enthusiasm. In fact, slowing down makes your energy more effective because it's no longer scattered. Think of a drumbeat, steady tempo first, then dynamic accents. That's how your voice should feel. For the next few days, make pace your experiment. Whenever you speak, at work, on the phone, with friends, notice if you're rushing. Consciously slow down just a notch. Insert a breath before your main point. Pause after important words. See how people respond. You'll discover that when you control your pace, you control the conversation. You sound more thoughtful, more composed, more persuasive. People stop hearing a blur of words and start hearing you. That's the third secret of a confident voice. Chapter 4. Breath, posture, and pace give your voice a strong foundation. Now it's time to add color. The fourth secret of a confident voice is tone, the variety of pitch, warmth, and emotional shading you use when you speak. Many people equate confidence with a single sound, a low, steady voice. But a truly confident voice isn't one-dimensional. It's dynamic. It rises and falls naturally. It carries interest. When your tone is flat, you sound bored, rehearsed, or robotic, even if your content is excellent. When your tone swings wildly or unpredictably, you sound anxious or unstable. The goal is a balanced, intentional tone that makes people want to listen. Think of your voice as an instrument. If you play only one note, even a strong one, people tune out. But when you vary your notes, lowering your pitch for seriousness, lifting it slightly for enthusiasm, you create a melody. This is what skilled speakers do. They're not just transmitting information, they're creating an experience for the listener. One simple way to start experimenting with tone is to read a sentence 3 different ways. Once as if you're delivering good news. Once as if you're explaining something serious. Once as if you're encouraging a friend. Feel how your pitch and warmth shift. The words may be the same, but the impression changes completely. This exercise helps you find a natural range without sounding forced. Another key to tone is warmth. People respond to voices that feel human and approachable. You can project authority and still sound kind. Smile slightly as you speak. Your mouth shape changes your sound. Listeners can hear a smile even over the phone. That tiny lift adds warmth without undermining your credibility. I worked with a sales manager named Thomas whose voice was deep and steady but always flat. He sounded serious, too serious. His team found him intimidating and unapproachable. We practiced adding a slight upward inflection at the end of supportive statements, softening his edges. Within weeks, his meetings felt more collaborative, and his team began opening up. His authority didn't disappear. It became more effective because people now wanted to engage. Be careful, though, with what's called upspeak, ending every statement as if it's a question. This undermines confidence, making you sound unsure. Use upward inflection sparingly and intentionally. When you control your tone, you also control emotion. Speaking about a difficult topic? Slow down, lower your pitch slightly, and keep your voice steady. Sharing exciting news? Let your voice rise and brighten. This isn't manipulation, it's communication. It's matching your delivery to your message so your listeners feel what you mean. For practice, record yourself speaking about something you care about. Play it back and listen only to your tone, not your words. Does it sound warm? Flat? Rushed? Too high? Too low? Then read the same passage again, deliberately varying your tone. Over time, you'll discover a natural range that feels authentic but far more engaging than your default voice. For the next few days, focus on adding tone variety to your everyday conversations. Choose one statement per conversation to deliver with a deliberate pitch shift, lower for emphasis, higher for encouragement. Smile slightly as you speak. Notice how people react. Often, you'll see them mirror your energy, lean in, or respond more warmly. Tone is the emotional fingerprint of your voice. It's what makes people feel you, not just hear you. Once your breath, posture, and pace are steady, tone is what turns a competent speaker into a captivating one. That's the fourth secret of a confident voice. Chapter 5. Once you've built a voice with breath, posture, pace, and tone, the next secret is articulation, the clarity of your words. Confidence isn't just how you sound, it's how easily people understand you. If your words blur together or trail off, even the most powerful message loses impact. When you articulate clearly, you project intelligence, authority, and self-assurance without saying a word about yourself. Most people don't realize how often they mumble, swallow endings, or rush through syllables. Nervousness makes it worse. Our jaws tighten, our tongues stick, our mouths barely open. This doesn't just affect comprehension, it signals insecurity. A confident voice, on the other hand, forms each word cleanly, at a comfortable volume, with enough space for the listener to catch every syllable. Think of newscasters, stage actors, or skilled podcasters. They don't necessarily sound fancy or dramatic. They simply speak clearly. You can do the same without sounding fake. Clarity is a habit, not a talent. Here's a simple exercise to build articulation. Take a sentence, any sentence, and exaggerate it as if you're overacting in a play. Open your mouth wide. Hit each consonant. Over-enunciate the vowels. It will feel ridiculous, but that's the point. This warms up the muscles in your mouth and makes normal speech feel effortless by comparison. Another exercise, tongue twisters. Classic phrases like red leather, yellow leather, or unique New York challenge your precision. Say them slowly at first, then faster, keeping clarity. 5 minutes of this before an important call or presentation can dramatically improve your diction. Pay attention also to your jaw. Many people speak with clenched teeth, especially under stress. Before you speak, relax your jaw by gently massaging it or opening and closing your mouth slowly. A loose jaw allows for fuller resonance and clearer consonants. I once worked with a consultant named Priya who constantly received feedback that clients didn't get her recommendations. It wasn't her ideas, they were brilliant. It was her delivery. She spoke fast, softly, and with minimal mouth movement. We practiced articulation drills for 2 weeks. In her next pitch meeting, she slowed slightly, opened her mouth, and emphasized consonants. The clients followed her every word. One even said, "You're so clear today." Her confidence soared. Another benefit of clear articulation is that it slows you down just enough to sound composed. You're less likely to trip over words or fill gaps with or like. Listeners perceive this as thoughtfulness. For everyday practice, choose 1 or 2 key words in each sentence to emphasize. Slightly elongate vowels, sharpen consonants, or simply open your mouth a bit more. It won't sound strange, it will sound clear. Over time, you'll develop a natural, crisp way of speaking that carries authority without effort. Clarity doesn't mean stiffness. You can still sound warm, conversational, and expressive. In fact, articulation supports warmth. When people understand you easily, they relax and engage. They don't have to work to decode your words. For the next few days, make articulation your experiment. Record yourself, listen for blurred syllables or dropped endings, and practice speaking just a fraction more clearly than feels normal. Watch how people respond. Fewer requests for repetition, more nods, more eye contact. Clear words make a confident voice believable. When your speech is easy to follow, people assume you know what you're talking about. That's the 5th secret. Chapter 6. By now you've learned how to breathe, stand, pace, shape your tone, and articulate your words. All of these give your voice a solid presence. The next layer of confidence is pausing, learning when to stop speaking so your message can land. Most people underestimate silence. We think if we're not talking, we're losing control or wasting time. In reality, silence is one of the most powerful tools you have. Used well, a pause does three things at once. It gives you a moment to breathe and think, it lets your audience absorb what you've said, and it signals composure. People who are nervous tend to fill every gap with words or filler sounds. People who are confident are comfortable with a beat of quiet. Think of your favorite speaker or teacher. They don't rush from point to point. They leave space, sometimes just a second, sometimes several, before or after key ideas. That's not an accident. It's deliberate. Those pauses act like punctuation in speech. They tell the listener, this matters, or a new thought is coming. A simple way to start practicing is the 2-beat rule. After making an important statement, stop speaking for a count of 2 while you breathe in slowly. It feels long to you, but to your audience it feels natural, even dramatic. Another trick, before answering a question, take 1 slow breath. This prevents you from blurting and shows you're thinking. I once coached a young executive named Daniel who always came across as rushed in meetings. He knew his material but raced through slides, filling every moment with words. His team felt overwhelmed. We worked on inserting deliberate pauses after each main point, just 2 or 3 seconds of silence. At first he felt exposed, like everyone was staring. But within a week, the feedback changed. You sound so calm. You're much clearer. Nothing else changed but the pauses. Pausing also protects you from filler words. These creep in when you're afraid of silence. When you embrace pauses, those fillers disappear naturally. Your speech becomes cleaner and your authority rises. A pause can even create anticipation. Before you reveal a key number, tell a punchline, or share a decision, stop. Look at your listeners. Let the silence stretch just a heartbeat longer than feels comfortable. Then deliver your words. That small suspense grabs attention more effectively than any dramatic gesture. This doesn't mean you should pepper your talk with random gaps. Pauses must be purposeful. Use them at the start of a sentence, after an important idea, or before a transition. And don't hold your breath or tense up during the pause. Stay relaxed, keep your posture open, breathe slowly. For practice, take a paragraph of text and mark 3 spots where you'll pause for 2 beats. Read it aloud, sticking to your marks. Over time you'll feel how the rhythm shifts, how your voice feels steadier, and how listeners' faces stay on you longer. Confidence isn't just about what you say or how you sound. It's also about your relationship with silence. When you show you're comfortable with space, people assume you're comfortable with yourself. That's the 6th secret of a confident voice. Chapter 7. With breath, posture, pace, tone, articulation, and pausing in place, your voice is already stronger and steadier. Now it's time to address something many people overlook: emphasis, how you highlight the most important words so your listeners know what matters. A confident voice doesn't treat every word the same. If all your words carry equal weight, your message becomes flat, like reading a list. But when you stress keywords, vary your volume slightly, or lean into an idea with your voice, you guide your audience's attention. You're telling them, here's the heart of what I'm saying. Think about reading a story to a child. Without even thinking about it, you automatically emphasize characters' names, raise your pitch for excitement, lower it for suspense. That's natural communication. Yet in meetings, presentations, or conversations, many of us switch to neutral delivery as if that sounds more professional. In reality, it just sounds forgettable. Here's a simple exercise. Take a sentence you might say in real life, such as, "We need to change our approach to this project." Now say it 3 times, each time emphasizing a different word. We need to change our approach. We, not someone else. We need to change our approach. It's necessary. We need to change our approach. Change is the key. Notice how the meaning and impact shift with each emphasis. The words are the same, but the listener's focus moves. That's the power of emphasis. Volume is one tool for emphasis. Slightly increasing your volume on a key phrase signals importance. Another tool is slowing down just before or after the word, or lowering your pitch a half step, which subconsciously signals seriousness. Used sparingly, these techniques make your voice feel intentional and compelling. Gestures can reinforce emphasis too. Leaning forward slightly, using your hands to frame a point, or making eye contact at the exact moment you stress a word, all these increase impact without sounding forced. I worked with an HR director named Elena who was known as the monotone voice. She was knowledgeable, but people tuned her out. We practiced identifying 1 or 2 key words per sentence and marking them in her notes. During presentations, she deliberately emphasized those words, sometimes with a slight volume lift, sometimes with a slower pace. Within a month, her colleagues started quoting her phrases in meetings. Same information, new delivery. Be careful, though, not to overdo it. If you emphasize everything, nothing stands out. Choose your spots. A confident speaker trusts that the rest of the sentence can flow naturally. For the next week, make emphasis your experiment. Before any important conversation, jot down your main point and circle 1 or 2 keywords. When you speak, lean into those words through volume, pace, or tone. Then notice how much more engaged your listener seems. Emphasis is like a highlighter for your voice. It directs attention, adds energy, and makes your message memorable. When used deliberately, it signals that you're in control of your delivery, not just reciting words. That's the 7th secret of a confident voice. Chapter 8. By now your voice has a strong framework: breath, posture, pace, tone, articulation, pausing, and emphasis. The next step is about something less technical but just as powerful: warmth and authenticity, letting your real self show through your voice so people not only hear you but also trust you. Many people, in an effort to sound confident, end up sounding stiff or artificial. They adopt a voice that isn't theirs, too deep, too formal, too loud. Instead of drawing people in, it pushes them away. True confidence is not a mask. It's the freedom to let your authentic voice come through with steadiness and warmth. Warmth doesn't mean being sugary or overly friendly. It means speaking as a real human being, open, grounded, and present. When your voice carries warmth, listeners feel safe. They relax. They give you their attention willingly rather than defensively. This is especially important in high-stakes settings like negotiations, presentations, or feedback conversations. A simple way to add warmth is to imagine you're speaking to someone you genuinely like and respect. Before you start talking, picture a friend who supports you. This mental image softens your facial muscles, relaxes your jaw, and automatically adjusts your tone. People can hear the difference even if they don't know why. Another practice: smile slightly as you begin. Not a fake grin, just a small lift at the corners of your mouth. It changes the shape of your vocal tract, adding a subtle brightness. Even over the phone, listeners can sense it. Authenticity also comes from alignment between your words and your feelings. If you're sharing good news, let genuine enthusiasm show in your voice. If you're discussing a serious topic, let calm sincerity come through. Don't try to plaster one emotion over another. Listeners are very good at detecting mismatches. I once coached a startup founder named Leo who had all the techniques down: steady breath, strong posture, clear articulation. Yet investors kept saying he felt hard to read or too rehearsed. We practiced softening his delivery, less memorized phrasing, more natural speech, imagining he was talking to a trusted mentor instead of an audience. Within weeks, the feedback changed. You're relatable. You're easy to listen to. He hadn't lost authority, he'd gained trust. Warmth also shows up in your listening. Confident speakers don't just talk, they respond. When someone asks a question, look at them, take a breath, and answer slowly. This presence tells them you're not just performing, you're connecting. For the next few days, experiment with warmth. Before each conversation, think of someone supportive. Let your facial muscles relax. Smile slightly. Use the techniques from earlier chapters but with the intent of making the other person feel at ease. Watch how their body language changes. More eye contact, more nodding, more openness. Confidence without warmth can feel cold or arrogant. Warmth without confidence can feel weak. But combined, they create a voice that people instinctively trust and follow. That's the 8th secret of a confident voice. Chapter 9. By now your voice has strength, clarity, warmth, and authenticity. The next level is learning how to modulate your energy, adjusting your vocal intensity to match the situation. This skill makes your voice dynamic and memorable instead of flat and predictable. Most people have a default energy level. Some are naturally quiet and understated. Others are animated and loud. Both extremes can become limiting. If you're always soft, listeners may tune out. If you're always high energy, you risk overwhelming them. True vocal confidence is the ability to choose your energy instead of being stuck in one gear. Think of a skilled musician. They don't play every note at the same volume or tempo. They rise and fall, creating contrast. This is what keeps an audience engaged. Your voice works the same way. Modulating energy is not about acting. It's about being intentional with your natural expressiveness. One simple exercise: read a short paragraph at your normal energy, then read it again as if you're telling exciting news to a close friend, then again as if you're delivering serious information to a boardroom. Feel how your breath, tone, and pace shift naturally. Practicing these shifts builds flexibility so you can adapt in real conversations. Energy also comes from your body. If you want to sound more energetic, stand up, open your chest, and let your hands move. Physical openness lifts your vocal power. Conversely, if you need to lower your energy, ground your feet, slow your breathing, and relax your shoulders. Your voice will follow. A client of mine, Sophia, was a brilliant strategist but often spoke in a flat, monotone style. People mistook her calmness for indifference. We worked on deliberately dialing up her energy in key moments, adding a touch more volume, varying her tone, leaning slightly forward when making an important point. In just a few sessions, she began to hold the room's attention effortlessly. Another key point: don't confuse energy with speed. Speaking faster does not equal more energy. In fact, high energy delivered slowly can be far more powerful. Think of a seasoned storyteller leaning in to whisper a dramatic line. The intensity is there, but the pace is controlled. Begin to notice speakers you admire. How do they shift gears? When do they get louder, softer, slower, faster? When do they lean in, pause, smile? All these moves signal energy modulation. For your next presentation or even a simple conversation, plan 1 or 2 deliberate shifts. Perhaps you start steady, then grow more animated during a key example, then slow down for the conclusion. These variations make your voice alive and memorable. Mastering this 9th technique, energy modulation, ensures your voice never feels one-dimensional. You'll be able to hold attention not by shouting or overacting, but by skillfully moving between intensities. This is one of the most underrated secrets of a confident voice. Chapter 10. You've learned breathing, posture, pace, tone, articulation, pausing, emphasis, warmth, and energy modulation. These 9 techniques build a powerful foundation. The 10th secret, the one that can transform all the others, is intentionality. Every sound you make, every pause, every inflection, every gesture should serve a purpose. Many people speak without thinking about their effect. They fill the air with words, hoping to be heard. But confidence isn't about talking more. It's about speaking with purpose. Intentionality signals to your listeners that you know what you're saying, why it matters, and that you're in control. It's the difference between a speech that meanders and one that commands attention. Intentionality begins with your mind. Before you speak, ask yourself, what is my goal? What reaction am I hoping to evoke? Which points matter most? Then let your voice, body, and words align with that goal. Every element we've practiced, breath, posture, pace, tone, articulation, pausing, emphasis, warmth, energy is a tool to carry your intention. A practical exercise is to outline the key idea of a sentence in one word. For example, if you want to say, "We need to rethink our marketing strategy," your key word could be rethink. Place extra weight on it with a slight pause before and a stress on the word itself. Speak slowly, clearly, and deliberately. Even subtle shifts make your intention unmistakable. Intentionality also involves listening. Confident speakers respond to cues, adjusting tone, pace, or emphasis as needed. They don't just recite pre-planned words, they actively shape the interaction. When you combine speaking with active listening, your audience senses your presence and focus. I coached a CEO named Julian who had all the techniques in theory but still struggled to hold the board's attention. He would recite facts flawlessly but without purpose. We worked on identifying the goal of each point he made and aligning his voice and gestures to that goal. The result was transformative. Meetings became more engaging, decisions faster, and his authority undeniable. Intentionality also protects against nervous habits, filler words, rushing, or overcompensating with volume. When you focus on the purpose behind each word, these distractions naturally disappear. You become precise, calm, and persuasive. For practice, before any conversation or presentation, take a moment to set an intention. Decide your key point, how you want it received, and which techniques you'll emphasize. Then speak deliberately, paying attention to each word, pause, and gesture. Over time, intentionality becomes second nature. A confident voice is not just about sound, it's about presence, clarity, and control. When your voice carries intention, everything else you've learned amplifies. You're not just talking, you're guiding attention, inspiring trust, and making an impact. Intentionality is the final secret because it unifies every other technique. Breath, posture, pace, tone, articulation, pausing, emphasis, warmth, energy, they all reach their full power only when driven by purpose. This is the mark of a truly confident voice. Conclusion: congratulations! By reading this book, you've explored 10 powerful techniques that can transform not just your voice, but how people perceive you. Breath, posture, pace, tone, articulation, pausing, emphasis, warmth, energy, and intentionality, each on its own strengthens your presence. Together, they form a system that makes your voice confident, compelling, and unforgettable. But knowledge alone isn't enough. Confidence is a practice. It lives in the moments when you speak, when you pause, when you adjust your tone or pace, when you intentionally shape your delivery. Every conversation, presentation, phone call, or casual chat is an opportunity to reinforce these habits. The more you practice, the more natural they become. Over time, your confident voice will stop being a technique and start being part of who you are. Remember, a confident voice doesn't mean being loud, forceful, or dominating. It means being authentic, clear, and present. It means giving your words weight, letting your presence fill the space, and connecting with your audience. People notice authenticity more than perfection. When your voice matches your inner confidence, others instinctively respond with respect, attention, and trust. Begin small. Pick one technique at a time. Practice diaphragmatic breathing before a meeting, pause deliberately during a conversation, or emphasize key words in a discussion. Observe the change in how people respond. Layer each skill gradually until they become second nature. Finally, know this: a confident voice is not a tool for manipulation. It is an extension of your self-respect and clarity. When you speak with confidence, you honor both yourself and your listeners. You show that your ideas matter, and you make it easier for others to receive them. Your voice is more than sound. It is presence. It is influence. It is power. By mastering these secrets, you have taken a significant step toward shaping how the world sees you. But the journey doesn't end here. Every conversation is a chance to refine, every audience an opportunity to grow. Speak boldly, speak clearly, speak intentionally, and watch how your confident voice opens doors, builds bridges, and creates opportunities you may never have imagined. This is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of a life where your voice carries the impact it was always meant to have.